This is the FM Gold channel of All India Radio. In the program News Analysis, now we bring you a discussion on relevance of SAARC in the current global scenario. The participants are Veena Sikri, former diplomat, and Shubhajit Roy, journalist.
SAARC Charter Day was celebrated on 8th of December this year. And this was the day in 1985 when SAARC was established. Ambassador Veena Sikri, 3 decades of SAARC has passed by. And what is your takeaway, that has it been paper tiger or has it achieved what it set out to achieve?
I think SAARC is an important concept. The concept of regional cooperation is vital. It's vital for India's development, and I think our Prime Minister brought it out very well in the statement he made on the occasion of SAARC Charter Day 2018, when he spoke about peace and security being important for the development of the SAARC region, and how SAARC region is so integrated, it is so interactive, it is so interlinked, that for India, and our Prime Minister has said this very often, for India, our development will not be real and meaningful and lasting unless we involve all the SAARC countries and make them partners in India's development and make them participants in India's development. So this is vital. The concept of regional cooperation for growth and development is vital. And I think that the importance of regional forums is going to increase, because first there was globalization. Now the whole globalization process seems to be crumbling. The importance of WTO is going down enormously. President Trump of USA does not believe so much in the globalized approach to development. So this is a vital time for regional groups like SAARC to work and put their act together. Now, SAARC, in the 33 years of its existence, it has a lot of achievements to its credit on paper. For example, they've got the SAFTA, the South Asia Free Trade Association. They have very good protocols and documents. They were on terrorism and counterterrorism. They have protocol on against trafficking of women and children. So these are important and significant areas of socio-economic development. But the problem is the implementation of these remains very poor. And certainly I think that the issue of terrorism is crucial here. This again was mentioned by Prime Minister Modi in his message, because terrorism undercuts any hope of strong progress in development of SAARC. You cannot have talks and terrorism going hand in hand. You cannot have a summit meeting and all the prime ministers and presidents meeting, but then at the same time there's something happening where, some terrorist act is taking place at the same time, then it just undercuts everything. And that is why this has been a terrible factor in SAARC, which has held back SAARC. But India, nonetheless, has been showing its commitment to SAARC despite this problem of terrorism which hangs over SAARC like a Damocles sword. When India has recently launched the South Asia satellite and automatically has invited all the South Asian countries to join in. This would have been called the SAARC satellite if Pakistan had agreed to it. But Pakistan did not agree to it, and so it's now called the South Asia satellite. Similarly, in India's National Knowledge Network, we are willing to bring in the South Asian countries as partners in that. And India has gone even a step further. If SAARC is a problem, in fact, Prime Minister Modi said this in his speech at the very first SAARC summit he attended in 2014, when he said that we are determined to progress on regional cooperation through SAARC if possible, through all the countries together if possible, if not separately with whoever comes on board. And in this we have seen that BIMSTEC is now growing. The Bay of Bengal initiative, which includes Myanmar and Thailand and all the SAARC countries except Maldives and Pakistan and Afghanistan. I think they're showing that we are committed to the concept of regional cooperation. So BIMSTEC, we are hoping, will take off and have actual programs on maritime cooperation, on regional connectivity. Then there's the Mekong-Ganga cooperation, which is also similarly a regional cooperation project, which has Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos and Vietnam. And it is a good, strong project. So India's commitment to regional cooperation is not in doubt. But the progress of SAARC is definitely linked to peace and security becoming a reality and terrorism not becoming an active weapon of use.
I would try to unpack some of these issues. So the last summit meeting took place in 2014 in Nepal, and after that there was a scheduling of another SAARC summit in 2016, which couldn't take place, as you pointed out, because of terrorism. Now 2 years have passed by since then, and 2018 has gone by. 2019 is approaching. Do you think kind of a 5-year gap between the last summit and the next summit, this tells that the summit meeting has actually been held hostage because of the cross-border terrorism and the Indo-Pak bilateral issues have held hostage?
I wouldn't say that Indo-Pak bilateral issues hold it hostage. I'll tell you why. Because it's very easy to come to that conclusion and say, oh, India and Pakistan are holding up. And of course, then you say India is doing it because, Pakistan is... There are 2 points here that I want to make. First of all, it is the summit meetings that have not taken place. But it's not that other activities in SAARC are not happening. Even today, as we speak, there is a business leaders forum taking place in Kathmandu. There is an agricultural cooperation forum of SAARC taking place in, I think, also in Kathmandu. But these are activities which are going on. It's good that there's a SAARC Chambers of Commerce, they go on having their activities and programs. So whatever you can try and do, you should do. But progress, you have a SAARC free trade agreement, but if Pakistan does not give most favored nation status to India, then what is the meaning? Then it's not going to progress. Whereas everybody in Pakistan knows that bilateral trade with India will greatly speed up the economic development progress in Pakistan. It's not that Indian goods are not going to Pakistan. They are going via third countries, via Dubai and so on. Everybody says that every single vehicle in Pakistan has an Indian rubber tire there. And these are going through other countries with 33% and 50% premium. So who is suffering? It's the people of Pakistan who are suffering. Fruits and vegetables could be exchanged very easily. The farmers could cooperate. So I think that the fact that Pakistan is not giving most favored nation status to India, nobody knows why. Somebody in Pakistan said, this is because the translation is Sabse Pasandida Mulk. So how can you have that, So it's a mental block. I don't think, and being a member of WTO, there's really no reason why this should happen. So I think that at some point, one does come up against the reality of lack of implementation, the reality of terrorism. When you have your soldiers being killed at the border, when you have this interference in what is happening in Kashmir, then the people who are dying, their families, the common man says, what is SAARC all about if we can't have this? And also let me draw attention to one more thing, that I don't think that the lack of a summit or summit meeting or the delay, the last meeting was 2014. At that time they decided we'll now have summits only every 2 years. So there's only one summit which has really been missed, the one in 2016. And now maybe 2018 will be the second summit deadline which has been missed. But ASEAN as a group has had fewer summits than SAARC. But still their progress is enormous. Their progress is huge. And they do it because they have agreed that when we meet in SAARC, in ASEAN summit meetings, we will leave all our bilateral problems outside. Now if SAARC can do that, and SAARC can agree that, we will not discuss, we don't discuss bilateral issues. But if terrorism is there, affecting every man, woman and child, if not directly then indirect, then you do have a build-up of resentment against SAARC within the popular mindset, which makes it very difficult for any government to fulfill its commitment to SAARC. Because then you have a popular mindset built up against it. Whereas in ASEAN, it's the other way around. The popular mindset is in favor of ASEAN. Look at it even today. We've had the Rohingya problem. And Myanmar, although there's so many countries like Malaysia and Indonesia and others who have a sharply differing point of view than Myanmar on the Rohingya issue, but they're still going ahead. They're not stopping the cooperation. So this is the way to progress in a mature way, They're understanding the issue, they're talking to leaders, Aung San Suu Kyi even called all the ASEAN leaders. If SAARC can agree to discuss terrorism, implement a counter-terrorism protocol, which all countries will adhere to, that would be a very great progress.
Do you think that is possible, Pakistan coming on board on such an idea?
There is supposed to be a counterterrorism desk. There's some counterterrorism cooperation has started in SAARC, and people are supposed to give information. But if you don't give information, then what happens? So it's the implementation, It's not that India has not tried. India has tried very hard. So rather the mood now you find among the bureaucracy, among the common man, move ahead, just forget about SAARC. That kind of unfortunately, that kind of mood has built up. Although in my view, in principle, commitment to SAARC should remain. And I think that commitment was shown when went ahead with the South Asia satellite and asked all the South Asian countries whoever was interested to come on board and build the downlinking stations. And India said that, it's meant for all of you. So India has shown its commitment.
One of the issues that came up in the last Kathmandu summit meeting to 2014, and I was there to cover that summit, was this non-implementation of, or all the parties could not agree to the South Asian Motor Vehicle Agreement, which was a very key agreement of trade and transit, which would allow India to actually transit through Pakistan and reach Afghanistan and Central Asia, maybe. But Pakistan had single-handedly blocked consensus there. Do you think that kind of give by Pakistan would have sort of unlocked the potential of SAARC?
I think the motor vehicles agreement was a very important moment, because in the end, when there was Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif was there from Pakistan, and he was opposing it, in the end he did sign it, but it didn't have any meaning. What India did do was that we started BBIN, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India and Nepal, and we are going ahead with that. Whoever wants to come on board, we are willing to do it. Now, it is really unfortunate, because certainly not only Pakistan's trade with India, but Afghanistan's trade with India is held up. So Afghanistan is allowed to send trucks up to the Pakistan-India border, but they have to go back empty. So the Indian goods are not allowed to go, So it's a very narrow-minded way of implementing, designed to stymie any kind of rational progress. So I think that whatever the Pakistan Prime Minister may say about cooperation, but if he is unable to face up to this problem of terrorism, then those statements become unreal. So he has to recognize that, because everybody knows that, these terrorists who come across the border, whether they're state actors or non-state actors, in those border areas, nobody is allowed to enter without the knowledge of the Pakistan army. So it's very clear.
You talked about BIMSTEC being developed in the last few years, in the last 3-4 years. And we've seen a lot of activity. There's been a summit meeting also early this year. So do you think BIMSTEC, is it SAARC minus Pakistan? Is it viable regional grouping that India is trying to cobble up so that the regional cooperation is not hindered?
It is an effort to make regional cooperation in South Asia a reality, and BIMSTEC is a vital bridge organization between South Asia and Southeast Asia. So you have countries like Myanmar and Thailand on board. It's a very important cooperation initiative for the Bay of Bengal maritime cooperation. And I think these aspects are very vital, because in Bay of Bengal, again, the same problems of terrorism, we should work together on that, maritime security, all these issues are vital, and these are all issues vital for trade. The three-nation corridor, India, Myanmar, Thailand, maybe ultimately this India, Myanmar, Thailand corridor can be extended up to the Vietnam and to the South China Sea. So these are very real prospects, and I think if India plays a more important through quicker implementation. Now the India-Myanmar Thailand corridor, they say, is a reality, but some bridges have to be built. Surely those bridges can be built very soon. And India's prosperity is not complete unless the neighbors. And now just see the India-Bangladesh cooperation. That's a classic example of cooperation that has really gone to enormous levels of development. Regional connectivity is a reality. Use of Mongla and Chittagong ports is a reality. And containers going by road and by train, by rail are a reality. Trans-Asian highway, Trans-Asian railway, all these are realities coming up slowly. So I think there should be no doubt on India's active commitment to regional connectivity, to regional cooperation. And really we should take it ahead wherever it works.
Kartarpur corridor opening, and there was a sense in Islamabad that they want to move on SAARC summit because they're going to host it next time. There's a new Prime Minister there, Imran Khan, who's made some certain statements reaching out to India. The Indian side has so far been cautiously optimistic. Do you see SAARC being unlocked again as summit meeting possibility in 2019?
2019, it could work if Pakistan decides that they will not use terrorism as an instrument of state interference in the affairs of Jammu and Kashmir. They will not sponsor state or non-state terrorists to disturb the internal stability, progress and development of India. I think this is vital, and that is similarly with Afghanistan. So if Pakistan tries that, there have been some reports that the Chief of Army Staff in Pakistan is committed to this and so on. But let's see, the proof of pudding is in the eating. And if these terrorist attacks continue from across the border, then there's no hope for SAARC. But I think that if in 2019 the government and army of Pakistan commit themselves together to a new narrative and desist from supporting terrorist groups, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jamaat-ul-Dawa, their leaders are just roaming free. They are UN-sanctioned individuals and bodies, but still, they must show commitment to that.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Sikri, for joining us for this discussion.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on relevance of SAARC in the current global scenario. The participants were Veena Sikri, former diplomat, and Shubhajit Roy, journalist. The program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. This program is also available on our website, newsonair.nic.in. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsttalks@gmail.com.